Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to be talking about this thing called EMF radiation. Now, that may sound, as usual in my videos, kind of confusing and you might not really know what that is. But before I get into that, let's just talk about something that we all do and use every day. Mobile phones. Our phones, we love them, we use them, you, me, the majority of the people in the world nowadays. They're going to be using them every day for either their job, just for general leisure. You're just going to be on your phone for a huge amount of your day. And so no one's really ready to give them up or wants to or even has a reason to. And especially coming from me, I love technology, and so I am not willing to just give up my phone for any reason. And this video is definitely not only based around phones, but I do feel like that is the main technology that we do use throughout our days. Now, you may be thinking, what is he talking about? Why is he saying, oh, we should maybe give up our phones for some reason or something? Well, I'm going to get into that right now, and this is where EMF radiation comes in. Now, EMF stands for electromagnetic fields. So EMF radiation is electromagnetic field radiation. And what that is a non-ionizing form of radiation. And as we can see here, it is on the non-ionizing side of the electromagnetic spectrum. This basically means that it cannot directly harm cells or affect DNA. Whereas on the other hand, we have ionizing radiation, which can directly affect cells and your DNA. And the only proven side effect of non-ionizing radiation, which is EMF radiation, is that it can heat things up. And that property is used, for example, in a microwave, where it heats up the water molecules in your food and thereby heating up your food. But I definitely think there is more to this, and we'll get onto that later, and there is more effects that EMF radiation can have. Now, EMF radiation, as I mentioned earlier, is produced from your mobile phone, and that is due to its Wi-Fi connections, 3G, 4G, and what is now coming on is 5G. And so it is also produced by the towers putting those signals out, or your router. It's also produced by microwaves, as I've mentioned, and also in the vicinity of power lines. And many other wireless technology that we use today also produces EMF radiation. And so with all of this, we are actually exposing ourselves to these electromagnetic waves throughout the day and throughout the night. And one study actually showed that in 1 cubic inch of air, there is actually 2 million more times cell phone radiation than there was 10 years ago, which is absolutely crazy. And so we'll get on to later on why that is most likely a bad thing. Now, I don't pretend to completely know what I'm talking about here and be completely right about what it is, but I'm definitely open to what I'm saying being flawed, or people saying that it's wrong, or that they just don't agree with it. But due to the fact that I've been researching this for such a long time now, I believe that I do have a good opinion on it and can definitely speak a little bit about it for you guys. Now, with it being the case that EMF radiation is non-ionizing, there are actually some scientists out there that have speculated that it could actually be causing other problems and issues, such as reducing the amount of melatonin hormone, which can then lead to some forms of cancer. Now, there has also been research done into the long-term effects of radio frequency exposure, and it has mainly been focusing on the link between mobile phone use and brain tumours. Now, the problem is here with these studies is that cancers are often only detectable many years after the original encounter which created that cancer happened. And since mobile phones were kind of brought into the mainstream use in 1990s, this has not been a long enough period of time to properly detect these cancers. And the only cancers that have been able to properly be researched are short-term ones. On top of this, there are also many studies that show links between Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's disease, heart disease, and many others, which definitely show that there are some effects that we should definitely be wary of. Now, an interesting fact that I found is actually that the Environmental Protection Agency says that we should limit ourselves to between 0.5 and 2.5 milligauss, and that is basically a measurement for EMF radiation. But the problem is that when we are only 3 feet away from a microwave, we are actually exposing ourselves to 25 milligauss, which definitely shows the power of some of our general household items that we use maybe on a daily basis. So that's definitely interesting right there. Now, another fact that I've actually mentioned before is that if you go ahead and open up your box that your phone came in, if you still have it, and just flip to the leaflet that will be inside it, and it will most likely say something like safety information on the front of it. Now, if you flip through the pages there, you will eventually come to a page which will say something like this: RF exposure information, and it will talk about the SAR. And that stands for specific absorption rate, and this is another measurement for the radiation that comes out of your phone. And if you look in it, for example, this one here which came with my phone, it says that this device has been tested and meets the FCC ISED RF exposure guidelines for use with an accessory that contains no metal and positions the handset a minimum of 1.5 centimeters from the body. So, and then again, position the handset a minimum of 1.5 centimeters from your body when the device is switched on, which is literally all the time nowadays, as no one does turn their phone off anymore. There's no reason to, really. Now, if you were to put airplane mode on, that would, I would say, count as off, because that does block all of the transmission of these radio waves. And so that proves, even with the minimal amount of research put into that, that we should definitely be keeping our phones and electronic devices further away from our bodies, or at least limiting our use with them. I personally believe that we have not had enough research done in this world about EMF radiation, and I believe that, at least with what we know so far, there's no reason really to not try and limit our exposure and to just limit our interactions with electronic devices. So, for example, overnight, go ahead and chuck your phone on airplane mode so you are blocking the signals, and maybe even if you feel up to it, turn your Wi-Fi off overnight, or get like a timer switch that you could plug your Wi-Fi router into, and it will simply turn it off at a certain time. So, for example, midnight till 5 AM or something. And it will just limit your exposure and help somewhat to reduce your EMF exposure. With this being said, maybe, for example, this is not causing us any harm, but I would then again just go back to the fact that there's no reason why we shouldn't take these precautions, and maybe in a few years to come we will realise that this was causing ourselves harm, and you'll be the lucky one who's already actually started to prevent some of your exposure to this. And the last thing I want to say is that if you're using your phone and you're keeping it in your pocket all the time, or always using Bluetooth headphones, the two things that I would say that people usually put right up against their body with EMF radiation. So, for example, your phone, if you're like me and you're still at school, or if you're going to work every day, instead of chucking your phone in your pocket, go ahead and put it in your backpack or in a bag so that it is at least a few centimeters away from your body. And if you feel like it, maybe even just turn it off unless you need to call someone, or unless you definitely need to be open to someone contacting you that day. And then with Bluetooth headphones, I'd say just minimize your use of them, because it's just another electromagnetic field that you're putting onto your body. So for now, that's how I'm going to end this video right here. Now, I hope you guys really did like it, and this is a bit of a different thing once again, as I said that I was doing this earlier on a few weeks ago, that was opening up the type of videos I'm doing. So yeah, once again, hope you guys liked it, and go ahead, click that subscribe button. I really like it if you guys would do that. Share it with your friends, it would help me so much. I want to try and hit 100 subscribers by the next 6 months or so. Love that if that could happen. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.